Okay, good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are and when you are. The theme for my classes this month is Heart Takes Flight. So we're looking at heart opening, as they say, chest opening, kind of front body stretches, back body strengthening, right, front body. Um, and sort of on the more internal metaphysical level, right? We're talking the heart chakra, which is the center of compassion and love and devotion. So just talking about that for a moment. Um, in the chakra system, right, we're sort of moving up the spine, coming up from the ground to the heart in this case, and our lower three chakras tend to be focused very much on safety, security, um, instinctual, survival and such. So it's very, I focused and me and self in the small sense of the word, small sense of self, and really protecting and grounding and making sure we're okay, right? Making sure we're safe and we're fine and everything's good. And then moving up from that, we sort of cross the threshold, right, of the diaphragm into the heart chakra, where now it's becoming more we and us and less I and me. And so once we feel that sense of stability and security growing within us and we're okay, then it's start to be able to open up to the world outside, the larger world, and other people, etc. So that's where the compassion, the love, and all that comes in. So we're looking at that today, and it's summer. It's kind of a nice time for that big opening season. Sort of growth is hitting its maximum here soon, and so can we. So we'll do that. We'll start just settling in. So let's get one ring of the bell, or how about three rings of the bell? Okay. So finding a tall, upright, seated posture, or whatever is comfortable. You could also start off on your back if you prefer. Let's do this. And from our seated or reclined position, let's just take a moment for meditation, firmly connecting to the support beneath us and grounding to the earth. And if you're seated, that might mean connecting through sits bones, really feel the contact on the block or chair or floor, ground, and just feel that stability and that solidity, that sort of kapha quality of just real inertial stability. And then keeping that connection with an inhale, we can start to rise. Feel maybe shoulders climb up on the inhale as well as ribs expanding, crown growing taller towards the sky, chin slightly tucked. And just a few deep breaths, or really breathing however your body wants to breathe right now, just noticing the breath, the rise and the fall. And let's reach our hands up. And we're going to bring our hands together, but really just at the tips of the fingers, right? So each finger finds its mirror, pinky, ring, middle, index, thumb tips. So palms are wide apart, fingertips just barely touching. And we can hold this position at about heart level with our hands. And see how light you can make that touch. What's the least contact you can find between your fingertips while still maintaining contact? Very light pressure, light touch. And from there, let's go ahead and bring our palms together. And sitting tall, we can begin the class together with one Om, if you like. If you prefer to stay silent, of course, you may do that. But if you'd like to make one chant with us, let's do so after the next inhale. So again, connecting to our seat, shoulders back, head tall with an inhale. I'm going to try that again. I had a little interruption. Okay, so inhale. Gentle bow of gratitude as we start our practice today. Rising up with the inhale, let's come off our block or whatever you may be seated on and clear the practice area of props. I like to use a blanket on my mat. I recommend that for you if we're going to do some of this groundwork first. So it just lets us not catch on the sticky mat. We don't snag our hair or our clothes. We can just slide and glide a little bit. And we come to our backs, resting in Shavasana for a few breaths, just connecting to the earth this way and tuning into our body. And to begin movement, let's take our feet to the floor, knees bent towards ceiling, arms out in goalpost shape, right? So elbows coming out from shoulders, bending 90 degrees, and the backs of hands on the floor, fingers point towards the wall behind you or the back of your room. And with an inhale, just drawing a little arch into the low back, just arching up away. Notice chin tucks, okay? Exhale, back comes down, tailbone scoops slightly, chin rocks away. Back and forth we go. Inhale, drawing arch in the low back, chin tucks in. This is our spinal undulation. Exhale, back comes down, tailbone scoops, chin rocks away. Spinal undulation 1 is what we often call this. And we'll just do a few rounds before changing it up a bit. So following your own breath pattern, back and forth. Note the connection as the rocking on the back of the sacrum, back of the hips, mirrors the rocking at the back of the skull for this cranial sacral action. And let's go ahead and cease the motion. Just come to stillness. And we'll interlace hands behind head, elbows wide to the floor. It's very similar in several ways what we're about to do, but this time when we inhale, drawing low back up away from floor, feel that rocking on the pelvis. This time we rock chin away from chest. Okay, so just adjust your hands to allow for that. Elbows wide with the inhale, pushing into the elbows, drawing arch into the back. Then exhale, we're going to let the back come down, tailbone scoops. We lift head and shoulders up just a little bit. and elbows come towards one another. Okay. Inhale, going back to the floor, elbows wide, drawing the arch, chin rocks away. Exhale, back comes down, tailbone scoops, rocking and rounding up, elbows towards one another. And back and forth we go. Inhale, elbows wide. Don't miss out on that, pressing the elbows to the floor there. And exhale, we round up. Not really an ab crunch, right? But just rounding shoulders and bringing elbows towards one another to squeeze some of the tissue across the front of the chest. A few more rounds following your own pace. Maybe after one more, we'll release the motion. Again, just gently undulating the spine. We call that spinal undulation 2 in the system known as SATYA, created by T.S. Little. All right, so next piece we're going to do, let's go this way. Okay, we'll take arms out into a T position. Okay, so arms are on the floor, backs of hands down. Let's extend right foot on the floor. Left knee stays bent. Okay. In fact, let's do arms in goalpost. Okay, so bending the elbows as we started the class. So when we inhale, left knee swings across the midline. We roll onto right outer hip, right outer leg. Shoulders are staying on the mat. Okay. Rock and roll, twist. Left hip is coming well off the floor, stacking closer and closer over right hip. Exhale, we return back to the floor. Inhale, swinging knee across midline. Feel that action rolling to right outer hip. Perhaps left knee starts to move away from chest, from ribs. Shoulders still trying to stay down. And exhale, we return to that neutral starting point. Okay, inhaling into our motions, into our movement. Exhale and return to that starting resting state. One more time and we'll build on it. Inhale, knee swings, knee pushes away. The inside edge of that left foot firmly in touch with the ground. Exhale, return. Now we're going to add upper body to this. So inhale, lower body keeps going, swing and such, roll to outer hip. This time we slide and bring that left hand towards left heel, right hand extends back over long head, kind of, right? Exhale, return all the way back to the starting point. Inhale, swinging into motion. Left hand towards left heel, right arm, right hand extends. Everything's trying to stay on the floor as we move. Left shoulder's coming off the floor, though. Inhale, swinging into motion. Left hand reaching, gazing over right fingers. Left shoulder's definitely off the floor. Left knee pushes away from ribs. And just feel that sort of shape. I'll stay in this position for a second. Feel the shape in that sort of arch. And it's almost like a sail on a sailboat, right? There's a big gust of wind coming behind, just sort of filling and billowing in the front. The heart and chest is kind of the front edge of the sail there. And the wind dies. And we return back to this sort of lax position, okay? Now it could go on that way for quite some time. Let's just switch it over, do the right side, okay? So this time you can see the back view of the whole thing. Arms in goalpost, right foot down, right knee up, left leg extended, left, starting with the lower body. Inhale, right knee swings across, roll to left outer hip. Just keep the upper body still for the moment, shoulders on the floor. Exhale and return. Inhale, swinging right knee across, rolling to left outer hip. Note the inside edge of this back foot, the right foot, firmly on the ground. Okay, for this one. Exhale, return. Inhale. Following your own breathing, maybe push right knee away from chest, bringing a little more dynamic movement and action here. Inhale, another one. We'll start to add upper body momentarily. And exhale, release. So inhaling, knee swings, roll to left outer hip. This time arching, sliding, right hand comes towards back heel, left hand extends towards back of room, right hand towards right heel, if I mess that up. Exhale, we return back to the starting shape. Inhaling, here we go, following the speed of your own breath. You don't have to go by the cues I'm giving or the timing I'm giving. Just really respect your body's sense of how deep of a breath it needs right now, how quick, how shallow, etc. Exhale, we return. One more time. Inhale, sliding into the action. Again, that big gust of wind sensation, as though you're just going to like lift up and fly off into the sky. Exhale, we return. Okay. And go ahead and extend both legs on the floor. Okay, so that's the Satya work. Very grounding, connecting us to some sort of internal sensations. And now we'll get a little bit more active with the work today. So let's take both feet to the floor, knees bent towards ceiling, and take left foot off the floor, left knee comes over hip. We're going to interlace our hands behind the left leg. And if that's not working for you, you can take a strap and put a strap around the thigh and just hold the strap, okay? So interlacing leg, hands there if you can, and then pressing left knee into hands. Go ahead and push pretty firmly, pretty vigorously. Left thigh is moving into your hands. You're not moving away from ribs. If it's okay, go ahead and extend right leg on the floor, right toes towards ceiling, heel pushes away. Keeping left knee bent for the time being, really put some effort into that, moving that left leg away. And then if you want to, you can choose to extend left leg towards ceiling, adds another dynamic to the pose, but still really pushing thigh into hands here. Okay, right in the kind of the meaty part of the thigh, the mid thigh. And just feel how that feels in your hip and kind of in your low back. You know, that's releasing psoas there, might release your low back. And then bend knee and land foot back down on floor, taking both feet to the floor again, switching to the other side. Right foot comes off floor, interlacing hands behind right thigh. And just start here, right? And actually even just feel this right here, boom. Okay, how's this? What's this feel like when you're not pushing into the thigh? Just how's your back feel? How's your hip feel? All right, then interlacing hands or using your strap, again, pushing right thigh into hands. And now how does it feel? What's going on now? What's happening in your back? What's happening in your hip, chin, neck? Touch into that. And then if you want, extending left leg on the floor, heel pushes out, toes pull back. Still pressing firmly thigh into hand. Okay, how does that feel now? Really take a moment to explore as you go. And then if you like, extending right leg towards the ceiling. Another big change. How does it feel now? Okay, when you're ready, let's bend that knee, land right leg back down on the floor, extend both legs on the floor. Take a breath. How do you feel? Lots of opportunities for inspection here. Now, next thing we're going to do, we're going to want a strap for it. Okay, so let's take our strap. This one doesn't have a loop in it, so I'm going to put a loop in my strap. All right. So we want a loop that's going to go around the thighs in bridge pose. So that's where we're headed here. So taking a loop into there, it's about, waist size loop, basically, maybe a little less. Depends on your body. And we'll take the loop. So it's about yay big for me. For starters, I'm going to take the loop around my legs and put it right, again, kind of in the mid-thigh. If anything, maybe a little towards the knee, more so than towards the hip. And then I really just want my legs to be my feet about hip width apart. And such that, my legs can firmly connect into the strap, but they're still like really kind of parallel. The knees aren't splaying out, going wide, right? So find the right tension for yourself there. And come to rest. Now heels are coming towards hips, feet down, knees up. Let's begin. We'll take our hands just to get a hold of our mat or blanket for starters, especially squeezing out into your strap. Maybe it's pressing out more than squeezing, pushing out into the strap, and hips rise on an inhale. Okay, we're starting to begin some back bending here, right? Maybe walk left shoulder in, right shoulder in a little bit. Kind of shimmy, shoulder shimmy, pushing out into the strap. And just feel, how's that feel right now? First one of the day, perhaps, not going super high. Exhale, we release. Now I notice my strap is actually a little tight, so I'm going to loosen that up. Need a little more room to move there. Okay, so you adjust as needed, of course, taking care of yourself as we go. And then back down, here we go, hands under mat or gripping mat. Feet firmly planted, pressing out into our strap with an inhale, rise. Hips rise, pelvis rises. Find your sweet spot where you land for now. Take a breath there, and then shifting weight towards right shoulder. You can walk that left shoulder in a little bit, shift to the left side, walk the right shoulder in. A nice firm grip on the strap. And now maybe the hips can go higher if you did the shimmy shake or the shoulder shake, and still pushing into that strap, right? And hold 5 breaths right here. Pulling that apart from left to right, pushing into the strap. Press downward into feet, hips rise, and start to feel pretty significant back bend, also known as a heart opener here. Last breath. And soften, release, back down to the floor. You can take the strap off and set it aside. Okay, and next coming up, let's see. We will do, oh yes, how about a little Sukhi Randrasana before we come up? Sorry, I'm cheating at looking at my notes here. So back to the floor, feet down. Take that right foot off the floor, crossing right ankle over left knee. Draw left knee towards chest, and then interlace hands behind thigh or in front of left knee, left shin. You can see that if you'd like, what that looks like, okay? We're pulling left knee in, not too vigorously just yet. Now, importantly, we want this right knee pressing away, okay? Finding that space down here in this hip, right knee swings away. Draw some arch to the low back, and don't let feet flop around like fish, right? We're pushing heels away, pulling toes back towards knees. Little arch in the low back, and if you have that arch and you want to pull left knee in closer, go right ahead. And that arch in the back might just be a millimeter. It's really just feeling that upward lift there. If you go totally flat and start to round, it's probably gone too far for your body today. So let's come out a little bit. Okay, and hold for one more breath. And soften the tension all over the place there and release back to the floor. And we'll switch it right over. Left ankle across right knee. Left knee pushes away. Draw right knee in. Okay, check our posture here. So feet aren't fish. Let's pull toes back. Left knee pushing away, right knee coming in. Finding that little bit of arch, just big enough for, a ladybug or ant to walk through. Just a lift there in the spine. If you have the arch, then you can draw it a little tighter if you like. And make it feel good, right? Pulling right knee in, pressing left knee away. Last breath here. And soften and release back to the floor. Feet down, knees up, and then we'll just tip ourselves to the right side of our body, rolling onto the right side. Take a breath right there. And then begin rising. Coming up, coming up, coming up. 2 hands and knees. And we'll do some cat-cow. So inhale, back arches, belly towards floor, gazing forward, pulling hands towards knees. Exhale, we go the opposite. We round into cat. Back rounds, navel draws up, chin tucks. Back and forth. Going at your own pace. Similar to the spinal undulations we did on the floor earlier. This time, a little more effective gravity and muscle work happening. Back and forth. Couple more rounds. Again, just warming up, moving, lubricating all the joints and the vertebrae. Okay, and then coming to rest here. Now, when we do back bends, heart openers, there's a lot of back strengthening involved. So here's our first kind of big back strengthening activity. So we're going to do bird dog. We're going to extend left leg back, toes down, heel high, shifting weight towards left hand, reaching right arm forward. And just find yourself here. Hold for a breath. And release. That's just a quickie warm up. We're going somewhere deeper in a moment. So next side, right leg extends back, heel up, toes down, and extend left arm. All right, coming back to hands and knees. We'll go back to the first side, extending left leg back behind, extending right arm forward, palm towards midline. This time we'll make it a little more dynamic. So here's our inhale phase. We're extended. Now exhale, we draw elbow and knee together, round back. Inhale, extend. Exhale, draw in. Extend. In. 2 more times. Last time. We draw in on an exhale, re-extend, and then come back to hands and knees. And just align yourself here. Find your balance again. One more time. We're going to get ready for the other side. So we're shifting the weight a bit. Right leg extends back, left hand forward. Take a breath there, and then 5 rounds. Inhale, extend. Exhale, draw in. Extend, draw in. Extend. Last time. And end on an extended position, and then come back down to hands and knees. I'm going to do some thread the needle. A little twisting. We'll do kind of cycle through it 3 times before actually coming to rest. All right. So with the inhale, I'm going to swing right hand wide, maybe up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we dive through. Arm comes under belly, chest reaches to the left. Inhale, swinging wide again. Exhale, coming through. Inhale, wide one last time. Exhale, extend, right hand reaches through to the left, and then we come to rest on right shoulder. Left hand becomes like a kickstand. Fingertips down. And just hold here for a couple of breaths. See how you are, see where you landed. If you want to go deeper, push downward into that left hand. Right shoulder comes off the floor. We extend right hand a little further out, and then come back to rest on the shoulder of this left hand. Kickstand, maybe walking more towards crown. Allow left shoulder to come more in line over bottom shoulder, over right shoulder. Last breath. And when you're ready, left hand comes down, we rise back up. Hands and knees, reestablish ourselves here, reorient to the midline, and then we go to the other side. So same deal as before, inhale, swinging left arm out, and dive it through, reach, inhale, swing wide, exhale, thread the needle. Last time, inhale, swing wide, exhale, thread the needle. Left hand reaches to the right, come to rest on left shoulder, right hand, little spider fingers, tips down, palm up. Just see again, just see where you landed. How does this feel? What's tight? What's working? If you'd like to go a little deeper, you'll push down into the right hand, lift left shoulder off the floor, slide left hand further out, and then come back down for a deeper twist. Just like 3 breaths here. Right hand maybe moving more in line with crown, right shoulder coming in line over left shoulder, right shoulder moving back. And when you're ready, right hand comes down, press ourselves back up to hands and knees. Quick child's pose before we get into the next, even more vigorous activity. Hips come towards heels, come to rest. A nice forward bend after some back bending and twisting. Couple breaths in child's pose. Of course, you stay as long as you like. And begin rising up. Now, if you have a blanket on your mat, probably want to move it out of the way at this point. Let's turn. And you can fold it up neatly if you like, or not. You be the judge. Slide it up out of the way. Okay, so what's coming next? All right. So when you have that blanket out of the way, if you had one at all to begin with, let's come back to hands and knees. Walk hands forward. Let's start off in plank. All right, so hips rise. Plank pose, classic plank. Could certainly keep it knees down if that's better for you. Right, regular classic plank, as I call it, can be pretty challenging on wrists and shoulders and back and all kinds of stuff. So here we are, pretty powerful core work. And from here, let's just press back to downward facing dog, towards downward facing dog perhaps, and then come back forward into plank. One more time. Hips go back towards the wall behind, come forward into plank. We're going to do a little vinyasa activity here. So come forward, lower down, roll forward into upward facing dog. Could also be cobra, and then come out of there, back to down dog. Ready, here we go again. Rolling forward, plank, lowering down, tip forward, up dog, pressing firmly into the floor, the tops of feet. And hips rise, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. It can also be a cobra there. Let's show that real quick. So coming back forward, hold here, then lower to the belly all the way down. Tops of feet come down. Inhale, cobra. In this case, we exhale out of cobra and kind of press yourself back to down dog. There's a variety of ways people like to do that. And let's just pedal out our feet, straighten left leg, bend right knee, straighten right leg, bend left knee, back and forth a few times, all the while pushing hips towards wall behind. Finding down dog for 2 breaths. And then let's just walk feet forward. The hands halfway forward, fold, hands on shins. Exhale, fold. Inhale, soften, bend knees, sweep arms wide. As we come up, palms together, hands to heart. You really feel that connection. Thumbs, backs of thumbs, right into sternum. A little pressure there. Maybe even a slight shift of the hands up, just like a half an inch, just to move the skin on the sternum there, just to get that sense of lift. Right from the heart, shoulders soften back and down. And hands come down by side. A couple sun salutation actions. Here we'll start with the half salutation. You may want to walk to the front of your mat. If you like to use blocks for your forward folds, just put some blocks up at the top of the mat where your hands can land. Come to standing, hands down by side. Inhale, arms sweep wide and up. Exhale, bit of a swan dive forward. Hands to blocks or floor, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway fold, hands to shins, back grows long, parallel to floor. Exhale, folding forward deeply once again. Inhale, soften knees, sweep arms wide, reaching up. Palms together, drawing hands to heart. A couple more of those, a little more quickly. So inhale, sweeping wide. Exhale, fold. Deep fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway bend. And then exhale, fold again. Inhale, sweeping wide, rounding, rising, coming up. Palms together. One more time. Inhale, sweeping wide. Feel that sense of gathering between your hands, perhaps. Exhale, swan dive. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway fold. Exhale, all the way in, fold. Inhale, sweeping wide. Gathering between hands, palms together, down to heart. Two breaths right here. And then we'll take it into a more full sun salutation. We'll do Surya Namaskar B style. Okay, so inhale, sweeping arms wide. And then exhale, we settle into a chair shape, feeling that back bend here. Grow tall on the inhale, and exhale, Uttanasana. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way, but certainly keep them there if you like. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, stepping back, plank pose. Hold through your inhale, exhale, lower down, and back bend, cobra or up dog. Rising into downward facing dog. Shift weight towards left foot. Let's inhale, right leg back behind. Exhale, stepping right foot forward. Let's come on up. Crescent lunge. Kind of warrior one like, but back heel is off the floor. Exhale, hands to floor. Here we are in plank again. You choose down to up dog or cobra, and then downward facing dog. Inhale, left. Okay, left side, high lunge. A little bit of a jump in the video there. Exhale, hands to floor. Stepping back into plank. You can either go straight to down dog if you like, or go through one last vinyasa here. Come on down. Roll forward into up dog or cobra. And then back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths or so here. My camera cut out, so there's a bit of a jump in the video. Sorry for that. Hopefully it wasn't too disruptive. Here we are again. When you're ready, let's walk feet forward. Halfway fold. Uttanasana. And sweep arms wide. Oops, actually no, we're coming up in a chair, right? Knees bend, reaching arms up alongside ears. Hold there for your exhale, and then inhale, standing up. And you draw palms together, hands to heart. Couple breaths. And just connect. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat under your thumbs. Go ahead and release, hands down by side. One last vinyasa-like thing that we're going to do before getting to our apex peak poses of the day. Okay, so for this one, we'll want some blocks up at the front of the mat. And we will start. Let's have right foot forward, left foot steps back into a warrior two shape. Right knee stays over front ankle or a bit behind it. Okay. And the thigh can be like super down low, as long as your knee's not going far, or way up high. Either way is fine. Open arms. Orient ourselves alongside the long edge of the mat, gazing over front fingers. Rotate palms up. Get that opening in the shoulders. And then palms come down. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, back to warrior two. Hold through an inhale. And exhale, we're going to go side angle. So you can take your right forearm to your knee and reach left arm alongside ear. You can also just have your forearm on a block. And people have different feelings on where the block goes. I kind of like it behind personally. Either way is fine. Here we are, settling in, connecting that back outer edge of the left foot all the way through the fingernails on the left side. And then we'll pivot, rotate, face down, hands to blocks, pick up that back heel, and keep it high. All right, now left hand stays on a block, right hand can come to sacrum or hip, and we rotate, twisting, looking over to the right, revolved side angle pose. And if you like, right arm extends. And reaching arm up and round, landing both hands back down on blocks, and step back foot forward a bit for pyramid pose. Legs straight, heels down, hands on blocks, halfway folded here. If you like a deeper stretch, fold. Rising out of the deeper fold, left hand can stay on the block, right hand comes back to hip or sacrum. We're going to twist, revolve triangle. Legs are straight, heels down, hand reaches up if it's appropriate for your shoulder. And come on out. Hand down to blocks. Let's just step back foot forward, come up to standing. And get ready for the other side. So left foot stays forward, right foot steps back, maybe kind of far back this time, we'll see. And warrior two, legs, right, front toes, facing nice and forward, blocks up by the front foot, arms parallel to the earth. If you like that little shoulder opener, twisting palms towards ceiling, and then just flick at the wrists for palms to come down. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, warrior two. Hold through the inhale. When we exhale, coming into that side angle. Again, left elbow hits the knee, comes down to knee, right arm stretches, or left hand can be on a block right outside the front leg. And coming up out of here, pivot, hands to blocks, back heel picks up. Adjust yourself, make sure you're stable. Coming into a revolved side angle, right hand stays on block this time. Left hand to sacrum, twist, twist, twist. Looking over to the left. And if you like, left arm comes alongside left ear. Holding for a couple of breaths. And then we come out of this one. Hands come to blocks around the front foot again. Back foot steps forward. Pyramid pose. And if you'd like a deeper stretch, fold. Inhale back to the halfway version. Back parallel to floor, right hand stays on block, left hand can come to hip or sacrum as we twist, looking over to the left. Revolve triangle, left hand rising. And come on out of there, hands back to blocks, stepping back foot forward, and just come up to standing. Take a breath or two. And we'll move into our final couple poses of the day. All right, final few poses of the day. So we want to strap for starters and coming down to kneeling like in a Vajrasana, right? Toes down, heels up, sitting back on heels. Certainly vary this up if you like. Take a bolster or something to sit on. Makes it a lot more approachable. Otherwise, something in like a Virasana is fine too. We really want to try and find a seated posture that keeps these tops of thighs kind of, stretching, opening a bit for what's to come. Okay, so find your pose. This is my preferred. Toes tucked, sitting back on heels in Vajrasana. And then reaching up, a big open grip on your strap, nice and wide, makes it more approachable. Reaching up and then draw down, really pulling the strap as we do that from left to right, and then reach back up and draw down, pulling strap apart. Last time, reaching up. And exhale down and hold it here. So see what's going on with your shoulders. Are they creeping up by your neck and ears? Just soften tops of shoulders. Pull down on the strap to your level of comfort or whatever you can do. You want to feel the work here without any strain or pain, of course. Pain means stop, right? Strain means modify. Pulling strap apart, feel that broad open chest. Maybe if you're in this Vajrasana, heels are coming towards one another, legs are towards one another. Really energize this pose. And let's reach the strap up one more time. And set the strap down. Take it out. Okie doke. Coming off the toes, which may be yelling at you about now. And still, here we are on our knees. I just take a breath here. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And we'll just step left foot forward, right knee can stay down, hands can stay on hips. Here we are, nice and tall, okay. In fact, let's grab that strap. So if you have your strap handy, still just reach over and find it. Otherwise, maybe it's not handy, but you still want to find it if you can. Let's do this low strap position, right? So the backs of the hands face back, palms face in towards hips. We've got a nice good grip on the strap. And again, it could be, narrow or wide. Either way is fine. Okay, here we are, upright. Take a breath. And on an exhale, we're going to slip forward into the lunge. Both hips move together, right? Not twisting. Right, we're bringing the right hip forward with the left. And that's what's going to decide where the end range is, really. Don't want to twist the hips open. Pulling your strap apart, chin slightly tucked. Shoulders melt from ears. Maybe shifting the fists, knuckles, strap towards the floor, getting a bit more of a back bend. Even though I'm looking more up, my chin is still pretty much tucked, right? Not exposing the throat. Just feel the heart grow broad and open. Hold for 2 more breaths. Just live in the pose. And begin to rise up out of that. You can soften your arms and shoulders, even let go of the strap if you like. But we're going to switch it over to the other side. So let's take left knee down, right foot forward. A tricky transition maybe. And kind of find your spot here. And then again, strap down. Go wider if your arms are starting to feel kind of strained from that. A wider grip on the strap might make it more approachable. Starting off nice and tall. And with an exhale, we slide forward into the lunge. And again, left hip is coming forward with me, not twisting open, really hips move in tandem here towards the short end of your mat. And pulling your strap apart, shoulder blades come towards one another, tops of shoulders soften from ears. Find your first sweet spot. And definitely just stay right where you are, if you like, if it feels right. Otherwise, maybe a little more back bend. Strap moves down towards calf or knee. Heart opens, chin stays gently tucked. Last breath. Big open heart, it's like it's sailing. Feel that lift of the sternum. And come on out when you're ready. You can set the strap aside now. Let's come back to kneeling. And quick child's pose. Toes touch, big toes touch, knees wide. Come forward. Feel free to pause the video and stay there for a bit if you like. Otherwise, we're on to the next pose, which is kind of the last one before we do some restorative work. Okay. So let's go this way. How about take some blocks to the short end of the mat. Okay. Let's step right foot forward, left knee stays down, hands to blocks. Not too long of a stance here. We're going into a warrior one, okay? So we're going to pop that back knee off the floor and rotate back heel down. Maybe step a little wider towards the rails of your mat. Now we're warrior one, hips kind of align more towards the front, shoulders towards the front. When you're ready, we start to rise up. Hands can come to hips. Find your warrior one stance, which is generally not as long of a stance as your warrior two. And when you're ready, reaching arms up alongside ears. Shoulders really facing front of the mat. The hips are slightly twisted, but this left hip is trying to come forward. Arms up. Maybe interlacing hands, keeping index fingers pointing towards the sky. The other fingers interlace. Oh, tall here. And a little bit of a back bend, not so much. But again, really broad across the heart and chest, and just feel the heart taking flight. Last breath. And releasing arms, come on, soften, soften, back towards the front. And knees come down. Switching right over to the other side, left foot forward, right knee down. Hands can be on blocks. And then back knee comes up, rotate, back heel down. Again, find your stance here, front ankle staying, or front knee staying over ankle. And when you're ready, hands to hips, rising up, facing the short end of your mat. Reaching arms alongside ears. Perhaps interlacing fingers, keeping index fingers pointing towards the heavens. Slight back bend, heart rising. And when you're ready, start to come on out. Hands to blocks, back knee drops. And let's go ahead and just come back to sitting on heels in whatever shape that looks like for you. Maybe a block between the ankles. Hands rest on thighs. Now for restorative pose, I'm going to suggest Supta Virasana with a chair for support. So you'll need a variety of things. A chair of some sort, and a block probably, or something to sit on, and a blanket, maybe if your chair isn't padded. A few things we're going to want here. Okay, so finding ourselves into this position. So I'm going to use this chair. I'm going to pad the seat for my comfort, okay? And I'm going to sit on a block in Virasana. So starting down here, knees down, basically calves not really parallel, they're kind of actually angling out, so the heels come right outside the hips, tops of the feet down. And if that's too low, you just do 2 blocks. Whatever you need to do, accommodate yourself here. Come to your seated position. And then start to come back, okay? Maybe you want a block on the chair too, just for good measure. Let's see if that's going to help today. Okay, don't have to have it necessarily, but if you do. So basically shoulder blades, bottoms of the shoulder blades are coming in contact with the seat, the edge of the seat here. It's about what I want. I'm going to lean back, and eventually taking my arms overhead to the back of the chair. And that might be a kitchen chair, or it might be like your couch or an armchair. If you like a block for your head, you can just prop your head right there. And here we are. It's like a Supta Virasana supported with a chair. Great restorative pose. You can, hold for a while, hopefully. And you adjust, right? You make the seat higher, you make the headrest higher. Maybe you don't do the arms all the way back. You just keep them down low. But if you can get arms back overhead, that's great. Okay. And just be here and soften. And once you're in the shape, maybe you start to adjust. Once you're any sort of a tensing or holding comes under control. Because sometimes you're like, oh, this is weird. Body wants to hold on and kind of resist the shape. But once you find yourself stable and comfortable, like we talked about, right? The lower abdominal chakra is looking for some stability, some comfort, and your forebrain gets to override some instinctual fears and say, no, you're fine, we can do this. And then just kind of let the heart soften, the back of the heart soften. Maybe your arms come down. Maybe you reach the back of the seat of the chair, something like that. Really find a spot where you can stay for a few minutes. No need to push. At this point of the practice, the tapas piece of things, the fire part of the practice is passing. Now let's get to a more watery, a more soft, restorative place. Noticing breathing. How's your body doing with that? Not really controlling, right? Not looking for longer, deeper breaths or shorter breaths, but just let your autonomic nervous system decide what it needs. But then observe as it changes over time. Last handful of breaths here. We slowly begin to transition out. Hands can come down, maybe even hands interlace behind head, perhaps, elbows wide, and just support the head and neck as we come up. So just a little lift on the head, chin tucks towards chest as we rise up, 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 up. And we come up off the seat. Maybe stay seated for just the moment. Could suggest also maybe a supported child's pose here. I'll clear some stuff off the mat. If you have a bolster or a couch cushion, something like that, maybe go this way. Big toes touch, knees wide, come bring bolster in nice and comfy, and just drape yourself over the bolster, landing one cheek on the pillow, the cushion. Might also just be a block if you don't have something like a bolster available to you. And just rest here. And similarly, just noticing breath pattern, speed and shape and depth. And after all that back bending, maybe just really intentionally, consciously letting the back muscles soften. Their work is done for the moment. And as they relax, they kind of flood with nourishment and healing. If you've landed on one cheek of your face, then come on to the other side now for a couple moments, just for balance sake. And definitely stay much longer if you'd like to. For the sake of this class, I'm coming back upright. I'm going to move my bolster to the side and clear my chair and props out of the way. And just coming back down for final resting shape, Shavasana. I'm going to use the bolster under my knees this morning. After all the back bending, it's kind of nice to have that support. You certainly don't need it if you don't have it or don't like it. You just find that final resting Shavasana coming all the way down. And palms up or palms down, whichever your body is best suited for. We soften into Shavasana again, really conscientiously paying attention to the back body, back muscles. They're working pretty hard through this stuff today. Shoulders too. Just let everything just soften and melt and spread across the floor. And chin stays slightly tucked, so maybe lift head up, tuck chin just a little bit, set head back down, and then release even that. And of course, you can stay put in Shavasana. Gosh, a nice 5-10 minute Shavasana would be great after this practice. Otherwise, though, beginning to move very slowly and with great care, hands and feet maybe shifting hips left and right, or shoulders maybe rolling across the back of the skull a few times. And then taking feet to floor, knees bend towards ceiling. And roll onto that right side body again, taking a couple of breaths, just resting on the right side body. Keeping the heart a little off center, right? Heart's a little off center to the left, so heart's a bit more skyward. In theory, anyway, everyone's physiology is a little different. But when you're ready, just taking your left hand to the floor and use the strength of your shoulders and arms to press yourself up rather than just tossing ourselves up off the floor with our core and back muscles. Be a little more gentle than that today. And coming up to an upright seated position, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. Few rounds of pranayama, kind of the final subtle piece of today's heart opening practice, right? Pranayama being the life energy that drives us, and much like the sail analogy, we breathe and that fills the sails with air, and the pranayama is sort of our fine tuning of that mechanism of taking in prana and driving our life forward. So when we inhale, we're just going to go like inhale halfway, pause. Then we'll inhale like a quarter of the way, pause. Inhale again, and then pause. And then we let it out in one smooth stream. Okay? So here we go. So letting the air out. Now inhale through nose, halfway full, and pause. Now inhale again, almost to the tip top, maybe more than a quarter of the way. Pause. Last inhale, just like a sip. Pause. And release. Slowly let the air out, nice even flow. So we'll go again. So you big inhale, middle-sized inhale, tiny inhale. That's our structure. So inhaling, big inhale, pause. Inhaling, pause. Last breath, inhale, hold, and then release. One more time, and then we'll wrap up, okay? So let the air out. And here we go, last bit. Big inhale. Pause. Medium inhale. Pause. Tiny inhale. Hold. And release. Let the air out. And just let your body come back to its own breathing rhythm. No more restraint or control there. And as we sit tall, inhale, let's bring palms together, drawing thumbs to heart. Rising on the inhale, heart into thumbs, heart lifts and rises. Exhale, gentle bow, just tipping chin and nose towards fingertips. Inhaling back upright. And thank you for your practice today.